Doesn't that just work
Perfect.
great? It doesn't
That
that
was
just work
awesome.
great? Oh man, like right on cue too. My dog, I swear to God. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Alliance. Of course, I'm your host Clay, and with me is not Katie. I have Joe with me today.
Howdy.
He's going to be filling in just for this week. Katie will be back next week on our regular schedule. We're going to be talking. Um, I don't know what we're talking about next week, but I will say this: I got my volume 2 of the High Republic comic book in the mail yesterday, so I'm sure that will be on our list of things to do. Now, I will say it's getting closer and closer to the end of the year, which means closer and closer to my hibernation. Looking forward to it. I said on DC Alliance, I take 52. I take 50 weeks on and 2 weeks off. It's just the way it's gonna be going for the rest of my life, basically.
Dude,
But
it's
Joe, how
nice.
you been?
It's nice to have a break. I'm doing pretty great. For similar to you, for the last 2 years, um, I take off every Wednesday from work in December because it breaks up the week at work, end of the month or end of the year. It's a nice time to get all the presents wrapped, get everything all organized. And December seems to be the last couple of years have been kind of hectic for me anyway. So it's nice to have those days off to just kind of recenter myself and get back to the mindset of working constantly and working till I die.
It's the grind, the
Yeah.
grind. But we have a little bit of news to talk about. But of course, just like you see, anybody who is watching here on YouTube sees the background. We are going to be talking about Revenge of the Sith. We both had our respective turns doing our own research. I saw your little post on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was kind of tweeting along with my watch, but not really. I got really focused into it at one point. But man, Revenge of the Sith, man, it's
We'll
we'll
get
get
into it
into it.
later. We'll get into it later.
We'll get into it. So the first thing I wanted to jump onto when it
Is
came
network
to
plugs?
Star Wars, oh yeah, the network. I was about to pull a Katie because
Ooh.
she did that when Nathan was on the show again when they reviewed the third Thrawn book. Nathan,
Nice.
it was so good to hear you back on the show. I have not listened to that review because I have not read the books. So as soon as I do, though, I have it archived, I have it saved, and I will listen to it. But of course, we are a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, which means that this is one of 8 shows, 7 days a week on a bi-weekly schedule, with a lot of those shows that being a walk through the multiverse, a slice of film, World's Finest True Believers, and Ranger Alliance all are bi-weekly. Our weekly shows, DC Alliance, Star Wars Alliance, superhero discussions, and of course, uh, Marvel Alliance. So those shows, all except for superhero discussions, have their respective feeds. If you would like to subscribe to those, you can do that on their own, or you could just stay here at the GUA and listen to all of our lovely voices. Of course, we do have a Patreon. We are an ad-supported network as well as a listener-supported network, which means this show is going to have ads. So we will give you a 3 count. We will let you know when those ads are about to pop up. We do not choose the ads. We don't choose how high the volume is or how many times they repeat themselves if they do. So, with that, do I want to plug anything showways? Well, I will say this: we are a week away from No Way Home, which means that Marvel Alliance is preparing for probably their biggest review of the year.
Yeah.
It is
I
getting
think you
intense.
and I are both going to be on that review, if I'm correct.
I believe so. I don't know if we're supposed to reveal that, but I think we already did. It can't hurt anything. Chris, I
Look, people
mean,
don't like my voices, so
if we weren't supposed to share it, I'm so sorry. But
share what? I didn't hear anything.
I don't know. But of course, that's gonna be No Way Home next week. Um,
Really, I just brought it up to
Well,
say
me,
that
me and
you
me
and
and Joe talked about one of our favorite comic books recently,
yes, Radiant
Radiant
Black
Black.
over on A Walk Through the Multiverse. That
Yes,
was what I was expecting an hour review, and true to form, whenever you and I talk, it's 2 hours long.
it
That was
is. It is.
also like semi close to when I was quarantined. No, I wasn't quarantined just yet. I was sick with
Yes.
COVID. Didn't realize it. That was fun.
Yes. Yeah. And then Joe should probably not this week, but the next following week we'll have some news on some Image Comics stuff with some
Yes,
new properties. So look
yeah,
forward
which
to
is very
listening to
interesting.
that. It is very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm liking how everything is going, but at the same time, I kind of wanted them to go somewhere else. But
I mean
you'll get all the details when you
I'll
listen
talk
to
about it. Yeah,
Joe's show.
yes,
Um, but of course, one episode that I do want to push out there, World's Finest True Believers with Chris and Greg. They talked Doomsday Clock. I remember the grueling wait every single issue.
dude.
Um, it was it was
Because
it was monthly, then it was bi-monthly, then it was like basically
I think it went like
uh
3 months, but at the last maybe 3 or 4 issues was like 3 months apiece apart
yeah,
because
yeah.
it was supposed to be a year-long event.
And it ended
End up
up
being two
being
years.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first 4 issues came out monthly, which was awesome, and then it started to go the every other month. And I'm like, okay, well I'll keep rereading these because it's been a minute. And by issue 10, I'm like, I'm just
And
gonna
they
wait. I'm just
still
waiting.
have not made a one hardcover complete edition,
Correct.
which I
Which
am
sucks.
really upset about.
I
I
got
don't
the
want to get the two. I don't want to get the two. I want to get one.
well, I got the two because it had that slipcase.
Oh yeah, that's true. True.
So actually, my problem was I bought the slipcase box thinking, oh yeah, I'll get both of them in here. It's gonna be great because it looked like it was both in there. No, it was the last volume, volume 2, and I'm like, well, crap. I guess I'm gonna have to go out and buy volume 1 now. Like,
Now,
fooled me.
really great episode. Go listen to that.
That's on my list. It's
Greg
probably gonna be tomorrow.
and Chris talked a lot about it. A lot of insight on that book as well. And also, one small plug before we actually start going on with the news. Katie reminded us in the GUA chat today, Crimson Reign issue number 1 came out. It is on my reading list. I am going to read it this weekend. I'm really, really excited about getting into that.
Here's a question for that: do I have to have any knowledge going into it?
There was a event right before this
Okay.
called oh shoot, it was the bounty hunter ones.
War of the Bounty Hunters.
Yes, War of the Bounty
Gotcha.
Hunters, and then that kind of led into what is
Reign.
now Crimson Reign.
All right.
I did not read the tie-ins to the War of the Bounty Hunters. I just read like the main stuff. And I'm just gonna jump in. And if I miss some stuff, I miss some stuff. Usually with these kind of comics, they kind of tell you in between the pages anyway.
Yes,
So
but I
editor's
do like
notes.
that. I do like that Star Wars comics have been very concurrent throughout. Like
Yes.
you don't have to read this one, but if you do, it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Yes.
So I'll get on
So
eventually. I'll go back to it.
our first bit of news here. The High Republic Mission to Disaster. The first chapter has been released. You can read it now. I will not read it right now because both me and Katie, we all know we review these High Republic books. We read them. Probably we try to read them at least twice before we review them. And I don't want anything spoiled for me until that book is released. Unfortunately, it is delayed to, I think, February 1st was the date that they changed. I got the notification from Amazon because I do pre-order from them. So my pre-order has already changed. Now, Joe, I know you're really big into the Star Wars books, but you haven't gotten into the High Republic stuff, correct?
I read the very first two, the regular
Light of the
novel,
Jedi.
and then the
And,
young adult novel, whichever one that
okay.
one was.
Yeah.
I've read those two. Love them both. I tried to read like the super young one, like the kiddie one.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I got
the young
like a couple
adult
chapters
one.
into it. I'm like, I'm done.
The young adult one you're talking about is A Test of Courage.
Yes.
which is with these characters that are going to be in
Okay, so this
Mission
is
to
another young
Disaster.
adult one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Because I like Test of Courage. It was really good.
Yeah, these characters are probably some of my favorite characters within the High Republic. For the like first wave of the High Republic books, Test of Courage was quite possibly my favorite one.
Or
It
am I
has now
confusing that?
since changed, but I am really looking forward to this. I am hoping that there are no more delays because 2022 is getting kind of bulky for
It's so this is the
nerd
second.
media
Well, yeah,
in
God,
whole. Yeah.
that's great for us. Not gonna lie, it's wonderful. So this set of High Republic books, is this the second set, or is this the third set? This is the second set.
This is the third.
This is the third. This is gonna be the
Yes.
last set, right?
Yeah, this is the last set.
Okay.
It's
I'm way behind on the High
it
Republic
is
books.
the way, and also if you guys do not know, there is a what is the website? Katie sent it to me because she knew that I kind of wanted to uh
Wikipedia.
no, not Wikipedia. It
No.
is the out of print
Oh yeah, yeah,
website does the whatchamacallits, uh, the
Those
special
beautiful
covers.
covers, man.
Yeah,
Like
the
those are
very special
awesome.
covers for the High Republic stuff. There is a pre-order for the Fallen Star bundle. I don't know if it's sold out currently. I was able to get mine in. I will be getting that in, I believe, January, mid-January. It's going to be shipping. Gorgeous cover. It comes with a beanie, which is
Oh,
amazing.
nice.
And it's called Fallen Star. So their third wave is going to be pretty dramatic.
Okay.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of things that are very classically going to be like the Empire Strikes Back type of feeling. It's going to feel like our heroes and adventurers are losing, and I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Very Revenge of the Sith, you might say.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Just
So
tying it in.
overall, really excited with how High Republic is going, and I can't wait to jump into it.
Yeah,
So
I love the two books I read and the couple comics I read. I just I've just been busy. I've got too much other stuff on my plate, and those kind of fell to the background.
you got 4 books. I have them all down here. So
I've got two more up there. I just
nice.
haven't read them.
They are really, really good.
I'll get to them.
I think that maybe right before, well, I don't know. I think after the third wave finishes, I'm going to do a full reread of the entire thing.
Love it.
And then I will probably get behind on like all of my podcasts for like an entire month. It's going to be horrible.
Yay!
Yay! So after that, let's go ahead, and there is this. Are you big into mobile games at all?
Not really, and that's what I was going to ask you because you sent me this trailer, and this trailer made this game look very similar to like Fortnite.
So it's funny that you say that because I know that you're a part-time gamer. You
Yes.
have been helping me with Breath of the Wild. Is my very first time playing through that game recently, but very nice collection back
Yes.
there.
Sorry.
But
Getting on that team.
back in the day, did you ever play this game called Star Wars Jedi Academy?
Long time ago.
It's an old game.
Yeah.
So that game had multiplayer.
Yes.
If you remember. That's what this reminds me of.
Okay.
If it kind of feels the same with the way the mechanics are, the way the characters move and everything, it very much feels like a Jedi Academy, even the way the people use their lightsabers and everything.
Funny enough, I was at the store today and I saw that Jedi Academy and Jedi Academy 2 are on
It's
GameCube
on,
or
yeah,
on the Switch.
yeah, it's on the
So
Switch. It's
I'm like,
also on
huh.
PlayStation. It's on the PlayStation Store. But funny you say the Switch because this game is for Android, iOS, and for the Switch.
Ooh.
And it is going to be a free game, I do believe. And then, of course, with the way the gameplay is, battle arenas, they're going to have, of course, your battle passes and skins and all of that. And that's how, of course, they will make their money. Um, does seem like it does have that little itch for Jedi Academy. Like
Yeah.
Jedi Academy has been on, like, ever since it was on the PlayStation Store. It's been on my wish list, and like it's gotten all the way as low as like $4.99, and I'm just like, I can't do it right now, but I promise I'll get to you later. I promise
Well,
I'll
yeah,
get to
but
you later.
I mean, if it's gonna be free on the Switch, look at
Exactly.
that.
If this thing is free, then I will still hold off on Jedi Academy and I will play this. It does look
Exactly.
kind of fun. The characters are kind of wacky. We have like an android Jedi. We have a
There's
really
a Wookiee.
bulky Wookiee
Yeah.
guy. They look fun. I
I think
really
there was an
do.
Ugnaught and a battle droid. That was
Yes,
kind of
yes.
fun.
And then of course you have the Mandalorian-esque armored
Yep.
characters, which all look really, really fun. It does look a little boxy. I don't think this is completely done yet as far as rendering goes.
Well, and it
But
didn't have a
overall,
date yet either, did it?
I do not believe it
That,
has a date
yeah.
yet. But I am looking forward to it. And we shall see how it goes. I'm
Okay.
sure because it's free, I will go ahead and jump on probably the first weekend, see how crazy it
Test it
is.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and just test it out. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the teaser that we got for the Book of Boba Fett. Now, I thought that this was the same as the last one because I will be honest, I didn't watch the last one because
Neither did I.
everybody was talking about uh this image or this footage of Boba Fett in the bank to take, and I was just like, okay, like cool, I guess. And here they show it again. But one thing that Katie showed in our uh GOA chat was a photo of a ship that looks fairly similar to, like, for me, I did the little emoji eyes because at a quick glance it almost looks like the Millennium Falcon.
Almost.
Almost.
Because my girlfriend was watching it at dinner and she said the exact same thing. But then she rewatches, like, well, that's definitely not Falcon. But that doesn't mean it's not a Corellian ship. So
Exactly.
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm looking forward to this. I do think
3
that
weeks.
this
3
teaser looks
weeks.
great. Um I know a lot of people are still on the fence with this because of the marketing. Me and Katie complain about it all the time. Uh,
It's
even after I shared the trailer, Katie was kind of talking about how, you know, there's not a whole lot of people getting like screeners for this. Like they're almost like, yes, this teaser is technically marketing. It's like reminding you, hey, December 29th,
but the
let's
marketing,
watch
like,
it.
it's Boba Fett. Like, there's a whole reason why that character was loved by everybody after Empire Strikes Back. It is he was an unknown character and people just flocked to him for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. That's been a long time. People have just loved this character. I got a friend at work who is younger than me, and he is everything Boba Fett. If I ever come across anything Boba Fett, he wants to know so I can buy it for him. So, I mean, he'll pay me back, of course. It's one of those things where this is a character, it markets itself. You really don't need to have screeners. I get it, I understand it. It's a new show. New shows tend to get the screeners and you want to get that hype out there, but end of the day, it's Boba Fett. Like, you
you
don't
know,
need
there
the name
there
alone
are
will get
things
people.
there are things that very much, uh like you said, they market themselves. But are we really in the age now that, like, oh, things don't need trailers? Like fans are fans and they'll watch it whatever. Like
I get that you want to
that's
get the
kind
new
of
fans.
disappointing.
Well, sure, but we're also in the age of TikTok where people will break down 30 seconds of a trailer for 5 minutes. Like one of the reasons why probably No Way Home didn't get a trailer until 2 weeks ago was because everybody on TikTok and on social media were like talking about No Way Home and talking about what possibilities and talking about this, talking about that.
Which is why this trailer is only a minute long, so it can be a TikTok.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can already think of like 3 different TikTokers that are probably duetting this thing immediately. Is that the right terminology? I'm old. I don't know.
Yeah. You got it. Hey,
Yay!
you're keeping up with
I'm
the times, man.
this close to getting TikTok.
You should just do it.
Mainly for the comic rundown, but then again, I haven't been really posting shit on that anyway. So
you see, you need to join because me and Ron just like share TikToks all day.
Yeah,
that's all we do.
That's what I'm not gonna say Ron betrayed me, but there's a mutual friend of ours who apparently thinks I am a dead corpse right now and reanimated. Yeah, it's a podcasting feud thing going on.
You know what? I think I remember you guys saying something about that
Big Chuck from Elite 8,
Rundown.
Yeah. He's still a friend.
Hilarious.
That's fine. I'm just gonna sponsor their podcast and have them read 50 Shades of Grey for a whole year.
Oh God.
That's how I get my revenge. I give you money, you do what I tell you.
Oh man. So, guys, I think that is basically it.
I do got one point I want to just little Easter egg of sorts I want to bring up.
Yeah. For those of you, it's not a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler. It is more of it's a renaissance because in the latest episode, the episode of Hawkeye that came out today, there is a song choice that happens at one point during the show where C-3PO is singing a song called Bells, Bells, Bells. It is off of the Christmas in the Stars album from like 81, maybe 78. I don't know. It's from a long time ago. And this actually Anthony Daniels singing the song. And
yeah, I listened to it when you send it to me. You're like, "Hey, did you see the Star Wars Easter egg?"
So the only reason I know about this is because I listened to and have listened to for some time this other Star Wars podcast called Blast Points. And
a
couple years back, actually, a lot longer than I thought. Episode 102. So it was December of 2017. They did a whole episode about this album. It's like 9 songs, just music from this was put out there. This is a Star Wars holiday Christmas album that was put out there, not officially, but like I said, Anthony Daniels is on it singing that song. So
do they have Christmas jizz?
There was some Christmas jizz on there, yeah. Dude, awesome. You can find this on YouTube at the moment. You can listen to all 9 songs. Honestly, I would suggest going to Blast Points podcast and listening to that episode. I mean, listen to the whole podcast. It's a great podcast. They talk about some of the most random things in the Star Wars universe, and I love it. It's really good. I know we're on Star Wars Alliance, so I figured I'd pimp out some other Star Wars podcasts.
It's all good. We of course use Star Wars News Net for all of our news on the show, and they do have their own podcast.
There you go.
Which is I don't know why I don't know it off the top of my head. I have it right here on my podcast playlist.
Podcast?
It is the Resistance podcast. Sorry, the Resistance broadcast.
Yeah, I've heard
is what it is. So go listen to them. Really great people, really fun show.
Yeah.
So before we jump into our main event, one small little news. If anybody ever plays the game, I really want to get into it, but I don't have the time or the money. Old Republic, they have a new expansion coming out. Legacy of the Sith is delayed 1 week after the initial release in 2022. So this last piece of news, we will go ahead and take our first ad break, and then we will jump into the main event of Revenge of the Sith. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And we are back. So, Joe, question, because this movie has a reputation of being, of course, a part of the prequels, which means it's part of the problem, which is what the stigma was. I want to ask you genuinely, is that part of the way you think of this movie?
Hell no. This dude, I loved the prequels when they came out. I still love the prequels to this day. This movie is my favorite one of the prequels. So much so that it's like it any given day it can be one. It can be number one and number two of the whole set. It's definitely in my top three, almost always in my top three,
Mhm.
but it could be the first or second, depending on my mood. I love this movie. Love it.
See, for me, I remember watching this movie with, I think it was my stepdad at the time and his son. He took us over the summer, and then I went to go visit my dad and my brother, and they were like, "Oh, well, we want to watch." I think it was Batman Begins. That was the same summer, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we want to watch Batman Begins." I was like, "Oh, but I really want to watch Star Wars. I've never seen it before." Wink, wink. And they were like, "Oh man, no, we don't want to watch Star Wars. We want." And I convinced them to watch Star Wars. And then after we got out, I was like, "Oh, by the way, I've already seen it. That was my second time watching it." And they were so pissed at me. But
but
I really loved this movie when it came out. I
yeah,
really, really did. Now, just like any other movie, there are parts of this movie where I'm like, okay, holy
rewatching it.
crap, my
Yeah, he's loud.
dog is being
I say
really loud tonight.
rewatching it this time and actually paying attention to some parts. Um, I think I totally forgot how CG heavy this one was. Because I knew Attack of the Clones was CG heavy because
Yeah.
all I ever picture is all of the Jedi fighting nothing behind in front of a green screen. But this one was, and don't get me wrong, it's still beautiful landscape, beautiful
Mhm.
everything. But like for example, when Anakin and Obi-Wan and Palpatine crash the ship down, that's them. That's a CGI them in the ship.
Yeah.
Like it looks bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I would definitely say the CGI does not hold up. Because then if you think like if you go back to Phantom Menace, there it was CGI. There was a decent amount of CGI, but Lucas was still trying to push the practical effects.
Yep. Mhm.
So it still looks great.
The time where episode 1 came out, he was like, "Oh, I think technology is finally getting there." And he
Yes.
was pushing some things, but not completely.
Like the
So I
pod race
totally
scene. I mean, yes,
exactly.
there's some CGI in there, but a lot of that is miniatures that they're running around.
Yeah.
This one, it's like watching Anakin and Obi-Wan like jump into a ship or jump out of a ship. Or it's just like it's not like they did the best. They tried. They're literally you can basically if you watch close enough, you can see them jumping on the platforms to get into the cockpit. And
Yeah.
then when the camera shifts, it's the actual them in the cockpit ship. But yeah, it's still regardless though, still such a great movie. It
So
really is.
I really love the way this movie opens up. The space battle going
Yeah.
into the ship, the fight with Dooku, and like from the start, we get the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
The kind of brotherly love, the like kind of picking at each other. We get Anakin still kind of like one thing that I noticed, like now knowing everything that I know about Star Wars, is how much Anakin was still like a like tender soul. Like
Yeah.
he was fighting for his life in space, but was still having time to like laugh and enjoy himself. And I'm just like,
Well, and this is
damn.
before it's before we see the Clone Wars and before we see him having fun on the battlefield. And
Yes.
he does that one to kind of settle his own nerves, and two to everybody around him to try and encourage them to no, everybody's gonna be fine. We got this. Don't worry.
Yeah.
This is all before that because Clone Wars isn't out yet. Knowing that going in, Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It fits the Anakin Skywalker character,
Yeah.
and it flows wonderfully. And then even to that point, the entire time Palpatine is, he's still manipulating Anakin in the beginning there, basically manipulates him to kill Dooku, and then
Hmm.
he's trying to manipulate him to leave Obi-Wan on the ship. He's like, "No, you gotta leave him. We gotta go. If we don't leave now, he's gonna die, or we're gonna die." And Anakin, you see, being the tender soul, he's like, "No, that's my brother. If if he dies, we die.
Yeah.
Like
What's the line?
his
If we
fate will be
leave,
ours,
yeah,
or our fate would
yeah,
be his, or same as his, or whatever."
yeah. Our fates would be the same as his.
Yeah.
But it's also within that scene within the opening of this movie that is 100% fan service. 100%. Everything that Anakin and Obi-Wan do,
Mm-hmm.
as well as everything that R2D2 does. Yeah, it's
Man,
a little silly. But you could show somebody that clip from the space scene all the way up until the uh the falling of the ship going into the atmosphere and just say, "Hey, this is Star Wars."
speaking of the ship falling, uh, did anybody realize that the back of that ship crashed and killed probably a couple hundred people on Coruscant?
Oh,
Like,
100%. Yeah.
I mean,
It,
yeah,
it
we got our protagonists are safe, yay! But now that family
hey,
is
it's
doesn't have
war.
parents.
It
Okay.
happens. It happens,
Mm,
And I'm
okay.
sure, if anything, we have to realize that I was gonna say majority of that probably like just dissipated in
I
the
mean, a good chunk
atmosphere.
of that, sure, but it was the back half of the ship.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it crushed a family. Anakin killed more kids. Not
I
just
have
the sorry.
I have a small little thing about that when we finally
Okay.
get there.
Okay.
But for one, the moment like you were saying that the CGI does not really hold up. I will say,
Some, not all, just
yeah,
some.
yeah. When we see Yoda in the council immediately after,
Hmm.
so much better
Yes.
than what we saw in episode 2, I
Well,
think.
I mean, we had the puppet in Phantom Menace, which
Mhm.
was bad. And then they did this full CGI in Attack the Clones, which wasn't good. Although, the final battle there at the end with Dooku was amazing to watch. Just
Yes.
him bouncing around like a pinball. But no, this CGI was definitely better than Attack the Clones. I'll give you that. And then, like toward the end of the movie, there's even times where you kind of do see like sweat on his forehead,
Yeah.
like after him fighting Palpatine. But we'll get there when we get there. But no, yeah, I agree with that one.
Now, one thing that it doesn't matter what I know about Star Wars. I guess when you start to put logic into some of these things, it ruins the experience a little bit because I still think the Chancellor pushing Anakin to be a master should have been a red flag even for Anakin.
So you're also forgetting that Anakin single-handedly saved Palpatine. He was the hero, and it has been notorious that Anakin has been friends with the Chancellor, been so his whole life. The Council has basically made Anakin the go between. Now it just became official.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but I would say he's probably still living. Well, I can't say he's still on that high because the time that they rescue Palpatine and get kill Dooku and realize Grievous is still out there to the time when Palpatine suggests Anakin be on the council, a few months have actually passed. There's some time. They don't say it in the movie, but there's some
Really?
time. Yes, because at that moment is when Padme says she's pregnant. Now, if you see her,
Oh, that's
she's
true.
not pregnant.
She's not
She's just
showing.
yeah, she's not showing at all. And then she's showing later on in the movie. It took like either the third or fourth, no, like the fourth or fifth viewing, or even like the second or third time I read the novelization, which If you ever read the novelization,
I've heard it's really good.
one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
Is took one of those two. I can't remember which one for me to realize. Oh wait, there's some time between here. There's
Yeah.
a significant amount of time between here,
Which would make more sense compared to like some of the things that they suggest, because like immediately suggesting that Anakin spy on the Chancellor immediately after that event, and you're like, what
It's like,
the
wait, what?
hell?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's this whole movie takes place over a couple months, over not couple, a good chunk of months, because like I said, we don't see Anakin or Padme just finds out she's pregnant, and then she gives birth by the end of the movie. So you could definitely say 8 to 9 month period.
Yeah. Now, back to what I just said about, asking Anakin, hey, we get the scene of you are on this council, but you are not granted master. Of course, this gets Anakin very conflicted
Yes.
about, what the council is and everything else. We start to see kind of like this power struggle with him. We get the whole thing with Chancellor saying, hey, you should be a master, kind of like provoking him in a ways. And then we get the conversation with Obi-Wan about how, hey, the council wants you to do this.
Yep.
And I was very interested in the new perspective that I have, in the sense of like Anakin legitimately was like, this goes against the code, the Jedi code. Like,
yes. And you add to that, okay, continue. I'm sorry, I interrupt.
No, like for me, so you have Anakin being the voice of reason, which is very odd compared to the relationship of Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yes.
Now, of course, like you said, through the perspective of Clone Wars, they both go hand in hand. Sometimes Anakin is the voice of reason, and then sometimes he's the crazy one that just goes wild and just does whatever he wants in the midst of battle.
Yeah.
But here, because of me trying to reason, like, why couldn't this go differently? Because I know Travis Snell, one of his biggest things is he wants a Star Wars What If series. And so I was like, okay, well, everybody was like, oh, what if Anakin didn't turn into Darth Vader, and all of these other things. And I feel like a lot of this movie could have been avoided if people were just fucking honest with each other.
Yeah. I was watching it last night and I'm like, oh, they could have, if Anakin had not, killed Dooku right there and actually arrested him. I mean, I'm sure Palpatine would have found a way to kill him real quick, but Dooku could have been like, oh yeah, like that guy's Darth Sidious right there. We were literally just talking 5 minutes ago before you guys came in here about how we're going to kill you and how he's going to rule the galaxy. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And not only that,
about that Chancellor.
If Anakin was like, oh, by the way, the Chancellor also urged me to kill Dooku.
He's been saying this. He's been doing this. He's been doing everything behind the curtain.
But during that conversation, and then I'll let you go because I know you had a perspective on it. The answer that Obi-Wan gives, I feel like, is the worst answer a brother could give to a brother. He's like, because Anakin was like, you're asking me to do this. He's like, I'm not asking you. The council is. And I'm just like,
you're on the council.
That's the wrong answer, Obi-Wan. Like, this is a friend. This is your Padawan. This is your brother.
Yeah.
Like, you got to think smarter than this, guys.
But this is also, Obi-Wan has grown up in the Jedi. He knows nothing else versus Anakin, who, if we just go by the movies, so I'm just going to stick to the movies for this, what I'm saying. If you just go by the movies, Anakin had a life until he was 10 years old, 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then he became a Jedi, and immediately he starts off seeing the one guy who believed in him get killed off. And then now he's with Obi-Wan, which, yes, they become family, they become brothers, but that connection is not as strong as it should be, as like a Padawan and master would be. because Anakin was kind of pushed into the system quick. He didn't start from birth, and so he had to and not to say that's a bad thing. He learned
Mhm.
a lot quick. He learned quicker than most. He learned on the fly. That's wonderful. But Obi-Wan is always going to side with the Jedi.
Yeah.
It's been proven day in, day out. Versus Anakin, who he also he had a life before this. He has a family now. He has attachments, which has been notorious the entire prequel series. Shouldn't have attachments. So he is definitely coming at it of like a he's got more emotion, which is what Palpatine tapped into. He was able to manipulate his emotions to
And
get him what he wanted, where he needed Anakin to be.
yes, and I feel like it's always easier being the one looking on the outside looking in, right? You're just
Most of
like
the time.
you're looking at all this and you're like, no, that's like you have to do this, you have to do that, and it's easy enough just to say this or say that and do whatever. And the manipulation of Palpatine to Anakin, I was a bit disappointed this time around, knowing what I know, with how strong the relationship is between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and his eagerness to be on the council and to do good around the universe or the galaxy. And like, I understand the whole point is the fact that Anakin wants to save Padme because he's starting to have these visions
Mm-hmm.
of Padme's death. And of course, this gives him PTSD over his mother's death, and that is his main motivator, um, which he is long gone by the end of this movie, and we'll get
Yeah,
into that as well. Um,
but
but
now
like,
you tap into the fact of, and again, if you go to the other canon stuff, Clone
mhm,
Wars, he lost Ahsoka. I mean, she
yeah,
didn't die, but this was his friend, this was his trusted Padawan. That he was the only one who believed in her when the Council, who was making mistakes, like toward the end of Clone Wars, the Jedi Council was just mistake after mistake after mistake. This movie was one of the key points, asking him to spy on the Chancellor, but he was the only one standing up for Ahsoka. And when he cleared her name, she's like, I don't believe in I don't believe in the Jedi. I don't believe in the Council, and walked away from him. So he already has another loss there, along with the loss of his mom,
yeah.
and he all the clone troopers that he's lost in the battles that he treats as human beings, like as friends, as people. All that loss, man. Like, I'm surprised he
It's
didn't snap
it's
earlier.
Yeah, it's gonna get to you. We are kind of at a point where we see the meeting of when Chancellor is really starting to show himself to Anakin. He starts talking about the story of Darth
Darth
Plagueis,
Plagueis the Wise. Oh,
and
which reminds me.
yes, I was gonna say
Yep.
this is something that I remember either watching a YouTube video on or like like behind the scenes special or something, and I knew about this.
Didn't
Um,
know
but
about
go
it.
but go ahead and tell the listeners what you
So
learned.
as I was watching this last night, my girlfriend Emily was with me watching it, and we get to this part, and it's him running into the choir room with or the balcony with Palpatine. Well, as he's running down the hall, he passes these two. I can't remember the race now. Two characters, blue skinned. One of them is George Lucas.
Do you know who the other one is?
No,
His daughter.
is that his daughter? Okay, because
Yeah,
I knew his son was in the movie.
yeah, I believe it's his daughter who's the one right next to him.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's even better. That's even cooler.
yeah.
Like,
I thought it was really cool when I first heard about it too, and I was like, oh, that's
yeah,
interesting.
Emily's one that told me. I'm like, wait, what? So I had to rewind it and look at it, and sure enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
Odd non-Star Wars related George Lucas has a cameo in the movie Hook. So, yeah. Very random.
What?
Uh yeah.
Nice.
There's a part of the movie where there's like a random couple that gets hit with like fairy dust and they start to fly.
Yeah.
That's George Lucas.
What?
Yeah. So
Wow.
the
Okay.
more you know.
Yeah, exactly.
When immediately after this conversation, because this is where Anakin says, well, this is where Palpatine shares with Anakin that like you can learn the power of immortality and everlasting life. Um,
Not
and of
I'm a
course,
Jedi.
this starts to, of course, get Anakin's interest.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, you know, is this something that I could be taught? And of course, Palpatine's like, not by a Jedi. Um, the very next scene I think is very cool, just as far as filmography goes and cinematography. The very next scene is, of course, with Obi-Wan and Anakin. They're going their separate ways. The last time they talked to each other before the final battle, Anakin is shrouded in darkness while Obi-Wan is within the light. Just really cool, cinematography
Yep.
stuff that they were putting into the movie. And it's at this point where you're just like you're shaking your head because he is apologizing to Anakin, or he's apologizing to Obi-Wan. Anakin is, but you can already tell this is a lie. This is a somewhat of a manipulation within Anakin to see what, because he knows, just like you said, he knows that Obi-Wan is loyal to the council. He
Yep.
knows that any decision that the council makes, Obi-Wan's going to go with,
Yeah.
or
He
so
has his
he
whole life.
believes.
Yep.
Because I do believe that to a point, Obi-Wan would side with Anakin.
Well, and that's the other thing with the Clone Wars stuff. You definitely can tell he had a relationship with Satine,
Yep.
part of the Mandalorians,
Mm-hmm.
and he just never committed, for lack of better terms, I guess. But it was one of those things where he would have. I think if his feelings were stronger, I should say, he would
Yeah.
have left the Jedi Council, the Jedi Order, to be with Satine, because it's not unheard of Jedi leaving the Order for relationships. But Obi-Wan is he's just not that way. He's the I'm not gonna say soldier because the Jedi are not soldiers; they're peacekeepers. That's been reiterated so much throughout the series, and it's interesting to see that he had a relationship like that, but didn't continue with it. And I mean, obviously, because she died during the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
which is why we have I forgot her name. Bo-Katan? Is that
Yes.
yes? For some reason, I was thinking Baz, but that's not right. Why she is kind of in the position that she is for in the Mandalorian and soon to be probably Boba Fett. So
Yeah. But at this point, they are going their separate ways. Obi-Wan is going to be fighting General Grievous, while Anakin is going back to Palpatine to learn that he is the Sith Lord.
a Sith Lord.
Let's go to Obi-Wan first. So I didn't notice this the first time just because when I was a kid, I was watching this movie. This technically is probably only like my third or fourth time watching this movie.
Okay.
I remember watching it twice in theaters, probably one other time when it came on DVD. I'm not a person that rewatches a lot of movies, to be
Man,
completely
the last
honest.
time I watched this was just before I did a full rewatch. And when I say full rewatch, I mean I watched Clone Wars and Rebels before
Whew.
Rise of Skywalker.
Nice.
I
Very,
planned
very
it
nice.
out. I planned it out. I was watching it all at work, and I had it up to like I'd watched everything the day before
Yeah,
Rise of Skywalker came out. So it was like
that's
a month's
awesome.
worth of watching. Oh boy,
So when Obi-Wan, I forgot what planet that he goes to, but
Udapau.
he lands on
I've only seen this a
Utapau,
couple times.
and of course they're like, oh, he's here with the 1,000 droids or whatever,
Yep.
and of course Obi-Wan sends for reinforcements, and he gets on this creature that basically says, hey, I'm a Jedi, look, I'm over here. That thing is so freaking loud.
Which is hilarious because it snuck up on Grievous. Like
Yes.
he's loud and running all the way up until that like
that last
building,
minute, and then he
and
just
then
starts to like crawl, and I'm just like, how
like,
does nobody
how?
know that Obi-Wan is there? Like, I don't know how it happened.
It's
But of
wonderful.
course, that is where we get the very famous, and I have it here in my notes. Hello there,
General Grievous.
Kenobi. Zzz. I love this fight. It's like
wonderful.
it is. I was gonna say unnecessary, but I
No.
feel like you definitely needed to see Grievous's, lightsaber like skills for sure.
So this is one of the scenes that anytime I do a rewatch of Clone Wars, which I don't do it very often, but every once in a while I'll go back and watch the series. I try to pay attention to when Grievous and anybody meet. So I know Grievous and Obi-Wan met in the series,
Mm-hmm.
in the Clone Wars series a few different times, but I always try to make sure to see if Grievous meets up with Anakin.
He never did, and
Correct.
that's why
Correct.
they wanted to make it canonically correct when he meets him in the very beginning of the movie.
Yep.
And he says, he makes a young comment for Anakin, and then that's when Anakin says, "Oh, I thought you'd be taller,"
But the big thing is wondering if Grievous uses the forearm technique against Obi-Wan. And I always try to remember, but then I never remember to pay attention to that. So, because I'm just actually enjoying the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he does, because he does use it in the show against other Jedi. But at the same time, I figure those Jedi that survived would tell, the council, oh yeah, hey, his arm split apart. He gets 4 of them. So watch out for that.
Here's some important details on
I
one
know
of our
there's-
high level targets.
There's one like apprentice that goes up. I think it was like Kit Fisto's apprentice that goes up against Grievous,
Yes.
and Grievous kills him. I think there's a couple other Jedi that go up against him that I think Grievous kills, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I know that, of course, because he unfortunately dies in this movie. I believe Grievous and Plo Koon fight at one point in Clone
Okay.
Wars, and they both leave unscathed.
Which
but
tracks.
I didn't notice again until, of course, this view. The fight between Obi-Wan and Grievous was not as long as I thought it was. It was
Yeah.
a quick lightsaber battle, then it was running away,
Mhm.
and then it was, hey, physical fighting, kicking, punching, tearing
Rip open
Grievous's
his chest
chest and stuff, and then shooting him in the heart. So uncivilized. I love it. I love it. It's such a good line.
Yep.
But I genuinely thought that was a lot longer and kind of more bombastic than what it ended up being. So I was a little disappointed by that. But of course, the uncivilized line made it worth it. I was just like, oh yeah, this is why I love this movie. But going back to Anakin, of course, Palpatine feels comfortable enough in his manipulation that he's going to share his truth with Anakin and let him know, oh, by the way, I know how to save Padme. Like, straight up. And I'm just like, how? And you could say the Force, you can say visions, you can say whatever. I don't know necessarily if it says it in the Clone Wars. How does Anakin share that stuff with Palpatine?
I don't think he ever actually shared it. So Palpatine has kept an eye on Anakin his whole life. So much so that in the Vader series, the second series, that I think that Charles Soule did, the last episode or last issue was Vader going into like the Force and seeing.
Oh, I love that issue.
Seeing Palpatine doing the manipulation, and he manipulated the midichlorians to basically make Anakin in Shmi. So,
but here's a question.
Okay,
here's a question, because if we're gonna touch upon the comics, guys,
look, it's all canon according to Disney.
It's all canon, yes. So people, if you want to read this comic, I highly recommend it. Go read it. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. It's one of the
Sith?
It's the second volume,
Yeah,
I
I can't remember
believe,
what it was called. It
of
was
Darth
Darth
Vader.
Vader. I think it might have been Lord of the Sith.
Yeah. But the very last issue, could you consider, because I understand, yes, canon is canon. Charles Soule made it happen, blah blah blah. Could you
He had to have to go
still
ahead.
could you still say that Palpatine was still manipulating Darth Vader in those moments?
Hmm. I'm
Because I've always
okay.
questioned
So
it.
because that takes place before A New Hope,
It
so
takes place before A New Hope.
they don't know about Luke yet. Which we'll get into that at the end of the episode. But
Yeah,
okay,
but more importantly,
maybe.
because the confidence the Jedi Council had in Anakin being the chosen one, and of course, people who have listened to this show know Katie's whole headcanon for the chosen one is actually the Skywalker name and not necessarily Darth Vader or AKA Anakin. But because of that, if you don't necessarily go Katie's way, if you just say, "Hey, Anakin is the chosen one," maybe Palpatine was even. It's a really cool idea, and I love the visuals that at Mustafar when he's going through the forest. You know, he doesn't have his armor or anything.
Mm-hmm.
He is just like this like wavy black fiery thing that is walking through the
So
forest and
wicked.
talking. It's so creepy. It's so cool, guys. Go read the comic. But I was
I
thinking
don't.
about it
Huh.
like Palpatine could still, because there he knows how powerful Anakin is and or how powerful
Yes.
Vader is. And you know, we start to see a little bit of emotion coming from Vader as well through the first volume of Darth Vader. Like, I think Palpatine still knows that, like, if Vader were to ever double cross him at that point, like he would lose. So he
Yeah.
needs to keep Vader in his grasp.
That's an interesting thought. I never actually thought of it that way. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, yes, Vader. I'm sorry, Palpatine is strong enough to manipulate the Force. He did it before to basically create Anakin. I don't know if allegedly we'll have to say that because now you're making me make me think it over. But honestly, I don't. I don't
Exactly.
know. I don't. I'd have to reread that issue. I'd have to
I'm
reread that issue, which I'm pretty sure is on Marvel Unlimited.
it is. It is.
So
So just wanted to
I'll
throw that
think
out
on
there.
that one. I'll think
Just
on
wanted
that
to
one.
throw it out there. So, of course, Anakin freaks the fuck out and he's like, wait a minute. I need to get out of here. And before we talk about this, let's go ahead and take our last ad break. Of course, guys, we do not choose the ads. We do not choose how many times they repeat themselves. And we will be back in just 1 second. So Anakin goes and he talks to Master Windu.
Mm-hmm.
I hated this conversation.
A Sith Lord.
I
Sorry,
hated this conversation. And again,
but
the
he
reason
he gained
why,
his trust.
bullshit.
No,
Bullshit.
okay. Look, listen. The Jedi Council, the entire time, the last, all during the war, and again, I'm just gonna speak of the movies. All during the war, all during Attack of the Clones, the and really at the end of Phantom Menace, the moment they learned that the Sith were around, they started to fear for their power, and they started making decisions that were not in the council's interest. They say they were, but really it was Mace Windu controlling everything and telling everybody how everything's going to be. And you saw Yoda just kind of going along with it. He could have probably stopped it, but Yoda was the voice of reason on a lot of things. In particular, there was a canon, one of the first canon novels that Disney put out there right after they bought Star Wars property, and it is a Clone Wars novel, and it's set just before the events of Revenge of the Sith. Where I can't remember the character's name, but they send him on an assassination mission. The Council sends this Jedi on an assassination mission to kill Count Dooku. And they're all for it. They're all like, hey, we should this is wrong, but Dooku needs to die because he's terrible. And once they he does succeed, obviously. He actually teams up with Saj Ventress, and they kind of fall in love, but she gets killed off in this book. Spoiler alert. And it kind of, he like goes off on the council, and that's Yoda, who had, he was kind of second guessing the order from the get go. He's like, yeah, no, we need to never do this again. This was the dark side is manipulating us, and it's not good. Only to a few months later, oh, hey, we should have Anakin spy on the Chancellor. That's a good idea. Can't be anything wrong with that. I mean, they got the information that the Chancellor was a Sith Lord. So yeah, that's all right. Cool. So the four of us who, although I mean, they did just get the info that Grievous was dead. Grievous was the last remaining head of the Separatists. So it was Mace. It was Kit Fisto, and I can't remember the other two. They're insignificant because they die quick.
So I put in my notes for Master Jedi, they die
now
so quickly.
I will say this: in the novelization, when they go face off against Palpatine, they're there to arrest him. They know he's a Sith Lord. Anakin has told them this. They go to arrest him, and similar to what is going on there, he's denying that he's a Sith, and he's talking about treason. But what's actually happening is that he has recorders set up. So when they're coming to arrest him, he's already jumping to attacking them, calling this is treason, and he's killing those two. Now, the one I can guarantee the first one being killed as a shock, as a surprise. It's like they did not expect this 60-year-old man to jump halfway across the room and stab me with a lightsaber.
I am the Senate.
The second guy should have no, your lightsaber's not up here. When you have up here, of course it's. Anyway, so what I'm saying is
so quick
in the novelization, he's killing them and he's manipulating it as oh, why are you attacking me? Oh, what's going on? Don't hit me! And the sabers are going everywhere. And then he cuts the feed, he attacks the recordings. So he manipulates it because he's oh, he knew he was gonna win out in the end, and then he was just gonna go to the Senate and and all the Coruscant and be like, the Jedi attacked me. We need to go arrest them right now. It's treason. Here we go. Beautifully done. But yes, the Jedi getting killed off so quickly. And even Kit Fisto, this guy is he's a named character that everybody loved.
What was it?
He goes down in the swipe.
What wasn't it? Wasn't it in the Lost Missions that he was basically a badass in the Clone Wars? I think there was one episode.
There was a couple other episodes. I remember watching the other Clone Wars series, the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah. On Cartoon Network.
And there was a whole episode where he goes undersea and he's fighting a bunch of droids underwater. He's just being a complete badass under there too.
Yeah.
Kit Fisto was an amazing character.
But I hated
real quick.
I hated the conversation before this with Windu because he's like, are you sure? Yes. Well, if you were positive, then I need you here. And Anakin's like, no, I can help. He's like, no, if you were telling me the truth, then you have gained my trust. I'm like, bitch, if he has gained your trust, then he would help you. You would want his help. I'm sorry.
Well,
Mace Windu, as much as people love him, poor judgment of character.
But
I'm sorry.
That's the character, though. I'm pretty sure that's the character in and of itself. He sat on the council for so long. Again, no one's going to question his authority. And here is Anakin from day one questioning his authority, and he's just like, bitch, please. Go sit down.
That's basically what Samuel Jackson would say.
Yeah, but But no, like he's not gonna take he's gonna take Anakin seriously for a little bit of the matter, and this is a situation that yes, okay, he's a Sith Lord. Well, yeah, they haven't dealt with a Sith Lord since. Well, I mean, I guess Dooku, but even then, like they knew Dooku. They had no idea. All they know about Palpatine is he's just a politician. So okay, so he's just manipulating things in the background. Oh, I'm sure we can handle him. As he jumps up from his chair halfway across the room and kills 3 guys in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely should have had help. Four Jedi Masters was apparently not enough.
So it gets down to the nitty gritty between Windu and Palpatine, and this is, of course, when Anakin shows up. I'm sorry. If you see somebody shoot lightning from his hands, that is not a good person.
No. Totally fine. Raiden is a good person.
Not, wrong universe. Horrible movie.
Oh, my bad. Well, Black Lightning, huh?
Haven't brought that one up in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
But
no, you're right. Like he's sitting there. Oh yeah, hey, you can't stop me. Just zap, and Mace is just stopping it. Huh? I wonder if I should trust the guy who just tried to kill one of my masters. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes, he's a good guy. He's on the ground. He's old. It's fine. He needs help.
No, and then like yes, you get the whole "what have I done?" when he slices off Mace's hand, and then like when Palpatine shocks him and pushes him out the window, that's when Anakin would have been like, "Yeah, I'm cutting off your head now." Like, I'm sorry.
Should have been.
Like, at least
well, really, he should
yourself.
have killed him. He should have killed him the moment he revealed he's a Sith Lord. He had his lightsaber to his throat. He could have ended it right there and then, and either dealt with the repercussions. I'm pretty sure the Jedi Council would have been like, "Hey, I get you killed the Sith Lord, but you also killed the Chancellor. So either we're either gonna protect you. I guess we can make this go away, or you gotta get out of the council. Like you're done with the Jedi Order." Which is actually what he wanted.
Which would have been a lot better for him and Padme.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Like in the end, he fulfilled the prophecy. He was the chosen one. But no, you're right. This scene is Palpatine zapping Mace out the window. Mace Windu's still alive. Gonna show up in Kenobi, calling it now. But he at this moment he's broken. He knows that the only way now to really save Padme is to go with Palpatine. Which, ironically, is the whole reason why Padme's in a situation.
Yes. And of course, here is Nathan. Powerful the dark side is. Yes. So this is where, of course, we get Anakin. He is starting to storm the Jedi Temple. He's storming the Jedi Temple with the other clone troopers. And this is where we see the oh-so-memed scene of him with the younglings. And I just thought to myself, how badass would it have been? Like, I understand shock and awe, right? So, like, nobody's going to initially react, right? But I kind of wanted to see. I wonder, like, because you see it in the holocron, in the thing that Yoda and Obi-Wan look at when they go back to the temple, and you see him kind of fighting with younglings. I want to know if they filmed anything. If they actually filmed like, I'm sorry, they probably didn't, but I was like, dude, these kids are trained as like they're
still in training though. Like they're just they're going to this renowned Jedi master, Jedi Knight, who is
he's not a master yet.
Well known. Yeah. You can still have the council, but we're not granting you the title of master. He's so well known and so like he's a hero to the Jedi. Yes, they know about Anakin, but it's going to be shocking all to see him, and the temple's under attack. They don't know. So the moment he walks in, and the kid's like, "Master Skywalker, shoom,
What are we going to
oh
do?
shit!"
Yeah, but still, like, because we did see the one kid like fight a couple clone troopers.
Which that was George Lucas' son.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, that's his son. Yep.
So Nathan is saying, no, I don't believe George filmed kids being killed. LOL.
I mean,
I don't want to see
but
them get killed, but I do want to see them fight. Like, I want to see them at least try to defend themselves. You know,
I'm sure if you go on YouTube and look up Anakin Skywalker killing younglings, I'm sure somebody's animated something. You can watch all that.
True. But we start to see Order 66 after this. We see the very first one is, of course, Obi-Wan with Commander Cody shooting the rocket launcher at him. And then we start seeing everybody else die. Who was it? Who's the Twi'lek that dies?
Leia. I can't remember her full name. It's like Leia something.
She was showed the one. Her. She got shot in the back and then continuously shot. Now,
what's really bad is she was a Clone Wars comic from Dark Horse character that Lucas loved so much. Is why he put her in Attack the Clones. Is why she had the scene in that. It's why she was in the Clone Wars cartoon. It's why she had the scene in here. That character itself was a character that was made for the comics that Lucas loved.
That's awesome. I really enjoy that.
And then didn't, get to say much and got killed off.
So
I still love seeing. Well, I was gonna say, this came up after the end of Clone Wars with Ahsoka and Maul, but somebody put the supercut of every single Order 66.
Yeah, I remember you showing us
in
that,
order, dude. I love seeing that. I love watching that from time to time.
Well, I want to really zero in on her death because they actually show her getting shot in the back, and then they try to manipulate the camera to kind of being like, "Oh man, this is gruesome."
The bush, or the leaves cover it up. It doesn't do it quick enough.
But it doesn't do it quick enough, and you see her like freaking going all crazy on the floor because she's getting shot, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" I do not remember that at all.
It's fine. That's because these are special editions that we watched.
Okay.
The death editions.
Yeah. But I mean, I will always be so upset at Plo Koon's death. He kind of goes out like I don't know. It's just they shoot him out of the sky. He's supposed to be like a great pilot.
Well, sure, but then you got the one that's on the speeders, and the two clone troopers fall back real quick and then shoot her. I think the minute that your two wingmen both back down, I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Exactly.
She just sat there, do. Oh, everything's fine.
I feel like there could have been better choices for these deaths. To be,
but you know what though, Clay? Good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah, I did think about that line when Cody shot Obi-Wan. Yeah. But then we see Yoda. He's starting to feel everybody die, and then we see the order come to his trooper, and then we of course see him freaking slice the heads off of two troopers. And it's not at this point that we hear the name, but we do see Chewie. And I was just like, yeah, that's Chewie. I know that's Chewie. And then, of course, we see him later on. I thought that was I still think that is very, very cool. And a little bit of a missed opportunity.
The next time we see him in the series is in Solo.
Yeah, in Solo, after he is captured. But, I know you can't do it now. But, if only Chewie had seen Yoda before his passing. Just to have that moment.
That's say goodbye, yeah. Or say yeah.
I understand the story of George Lucas made, and I understand the decisions that made it to where it is now. But just to think that there could have been a possibility of Chewie meeting his old friend.
But Yoda was exiled himself on Dagobah, and he never left the planet the entire time, ever again. Just like Kenobi was exiled to Tatooine and never left the planet ever again.
Yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh. So it definitely won't happen.
But I have a question for you, because we're starting to really wind down to the end. This is kind of our third act here. Before we go into the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, did Yoda know all along
that it was Anakin?
Yeah, like that. Not just that Anakin was the one who killed the younglings, but like that this was Anakin's path. Yeah, like all of it. Like, I understand that there's the story within the Clone Wars is that like the dark side is clouding their vision for the future and the Force and all of this. I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the choices Yoda makes and the lack of decisions that Yoda makes, you kind of come into the conclusion of like, oh, it's one of those situations where Yoda's like, oh, we have to see how this plays out.
I feel like he had an an idea that Palpatine wasn't what he said, especially since the war had gone on longer than it should have, and it just seemed like every time they were at a good chance to stop the war, something happened that he kept him in power. So I think he had an idea that something was up with Palpatine. The Anakin thing, it's implied when Obi-Wan wants to go watch the holoscreen just to see that it's like, if you look at it, you're going to be disappointed. You really shouldn't look at it. And I think they both knew, because even Obi-Wan's like, I have to make sure. I have to be sure. Mm-hmm. And when he does see it, they're, Yoda's in the background, just kind of like, head down, disappointed. Because I think he did know. He knew that Anakin was the one that did that devastation, killed all the Jedi. But I don't think he knew the level of manipulation that was happening.
Because if you remember in the episode 2, Attack of the Clones, he is hearing the events that are happening in Tatooine with Anakin's mother. He hears Qui-Gon Jinn yelling. That's what it is implying, that Yoda is feeling and hearing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then even in this movie, Anakin goes to Yoda and is like, hey, I'm getting these visions, blah, blah.
Somebody I care about is in trouble, yeah.
Exactly. And of course, Yoda is saying the Jedi thing, which, like, I know Yoda is Yoda, but sometimes I just feel like,
he's also,
damn it, Yoda.
But that's the thing. Yoda's the oldest one on the council. He's the oldest one in the order right now. He's been around since the beginning.
Which is why I want young Yoda. I want a story of young Yoda that is learning the Force.
Even the High Republic, he is like 100 years old, 300 years old, something like
that. No, I think in the Old Republic, he is like 500.
The High Republic?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Wait, no, hold on. I'm going to need to look at the timeline. Yeah, no, okay. I don't.
Because I thought there was like close to 1,000 years before the events of.
I'm going to look it up. You keep talking.
Okay. No, I don't. I could definitely see him having an inkling, him having that connection. He definitely was watching Anakin, because you're right. In Attack of the Clones, he did hear it, and he even like Mace Windu, comes in. He knows that's probably why Mace didn't really trust him. He probably doesn't believe in the prophecy. Didn't like the fact that Anakin was this like super being of sorts, and yeah, so Yoda is there, and he is actually mentoring this child who I'm just pulling out bullshit because I'm just trying to think of something. You got the answer there?
So I got here. It says
Okay.
the High Republic era was a period of time that lasted for around 200 years between approximately 300 BBY and 82 BBY, in
Oh,
which the Galactic Republic was said to be at its height.
so then yeah, he would be about 500. He'd be
Yeah,
500 in that time period.
yeah.
Okay.
So, like, he is still
Okay.
like even at 500, he's learned like through being a Jedi. I
Yeah.
want young Yoda where he's first learning, where he's making the mistakes, where he is not so wise. That's kind of what I want. Uh, Nathan is saying here the new Anakin was angry about his mission as the council, and they had him watching Palp because they didn't trust him. Yoda is an old and smart and strong in the Force. He knew it was him.
Okay.
But
Thank
if
you, Nathan.
that's the case, why? Like, I get it. Like, I know I'm answering my own question when I'm saying like I understand that there is, Jedi aren't, military, they aren't soldiers, they aren't police, they aren't they aren't
They're
there
not
to
supposed to be,
enforce.
but the
They're
Clone
not
Wars
supposed
kind
to
of
be.
made them that way.
Exactly. So if you're already in that criteria of the things that you're not wanting to do, go ahead and make the hard decision and say, "Hey, we have reason to believe you are the freaking Sith Lord. We're taking you into custody." Like,
Hmm.
why last this long? Like that's the small little like inkling problems that I have
But
with this movie
that
sometimes.
but that's Palpatine manipulating everything in his favor. Like he has
Yes.
the whole Senate, wrapped around his finger, with the
Yeah,
exception
he
of
has
and if
the
it
he Oh,
well
go ahead, go
there's
ahead.
a deleted scene in or Revenge of the Sith that there's a meeting of Mon Mothma, Bail Organa,
Yeah.
Padme,
Mhm.
and a bunch of other senators, and Padme is the one that's still trying to. She knows what's going on is wrong, but she doesn't want to give up on Palpatine right away because Palpatine's from Naboo. It's their friends, their colleagues. So she
Yeah.
doesn't want to believe that he is actually manipulating things to keep him in power.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of the group is just like, no, this is wrong. Like we've got yes, we're a delegation of I think like 10 people right now, but we have like another 20 that are signed this petition, and we've got other senators who would back us, and we just got to present this to him and be like, look, you got to step down. You've been in power. I think at this point, 20 years. Like he's been in power for a long time. Or
Yeah.
no, because it was 10 years there, then 3 years for the war. He was like 4 or 5 years over what it should have been.
Yeah. And
So
they even say, I think it was Coyote Mundi said that like if the he has already been in office for so long,
mhm.
if we capture General Grievous and or defeat him, he should step down. Like they
Correct.
were talking about that in this movie as well.
Yeah.
Um, Nathan just wanted to let you know that the group, Padme and all the
Yeah, I can't
high
remember either. I
leaders,
mean,
that they had a name.
it's the pre-rebellion. It's the group that formed the rebellion, or
Yes,
one of the groups that formed the rebellion. But I
yeah.
can't remember what the name was either.
So we are finally here at Mustafar. Now, I just want to
Man,
say one thing that I was able to catch on my second viewing in the theater. I was really proud of myself for capturing this. Um, Anakin or Hayden Christensen forgot to put on his robotic glove when he lands at Mustafar. When he tells R2D2 to stay by the ship and he's putting on his cloak, his hood, he has both hands.
oh, I
Um,
never noticed that. Never realized that.
yeah, it's very,
Oh,
very quick because he's actually like, just because of the way they shot the scene, he's on the right hand of the screen.
yeah,
So it's like a blink if and you
it's
miss it.
definitely a blink and you miss it. Yeah,
Yeah, but he has both hands in that scene.
nice.
just small little continuity thing that they forgot to do. But this is the start of probably one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars, just because the battle was very epic. I love the close up on Anakin's eyes when he slaughters everybody and he starts to have like the Sith eyes, the yellow and
Yep.
red. So good.
Yep.
But I will say this, before he actually goes to Mustafar and he talks to Padme and everything, and just want to make this one note because I put it here. Like, not only does Anakin have to lie to himself, he had to lie to Padme, and that's when I knew he's done. He's no longer like in his right mind.
He's not
So
good.
I knew
Yeah, he's
I knew at that point. Even as a kid, I was just like, "What are you doing, man? That's your wife, the bearer of your children, man."
child. They didn't know they were having two.
Correct. So of course, this is when Obi-Wan, hides on her
Stows
ship.
away on Padme's ship. Yep.
Exactly. She lands on Mustafar. They have the conversation. She's very distressed and everything. And there's a comment that Anakin makes. He's like, "Oh, everything will be fine with my new powers. Everything's gonna be fine." I'm like, dude, new powers? You haven't used it. Like, nothing shows me as the audience that you have new powers. What are you even doing?
It's the new powers that he's gonna get from learning from his new master.
Yes,
But he's already because he even mentions it like, I'm more powerful than the Chancellor, and he knows it, and we could take over the world. This could be our galaxy. We could rule it. Like I mean, he's not wrong. He is more powerful than Palpatine,
and he has that state of mind through being Darth Vader, like for the rest of his life. He's always trying to look ahead and be the person on top, and he knows, like, because I think there's always a part of Anakin, a part of Darth Vader that is like, yes, I'm under Palpatine and I was manipulated, but if I wanted to, I could take the throne, basically.
Well, and that is the way that the Sith are. There's always two, and we learned from Darth Bane. Rule 2. We learned from Darth Bane trilogy that at some point the apprentice has to, attack the master to take the title. Without that, then the whole Rule 2 goes out the window. And I'm pretty sure Palpatine had his own. We learned in the comics that the Rule 2 to Palpatine was just another manipulation because he had apprentices upon apprentices.
Yeah.
Yes, Vader was his apprentice, his main one, but he had other ones in the wings just in case. So,
yeah, and so this is, of course, when Obi-Wan shows up, and like, again, like, dude, you were so far gone. You're like, "Hey, I'm gonna save you by force choking you." And I'm just like, dude,
I'm gonna save you with my love. Why are you resisting my love?
Exactly. And I showed this in the TikTok of the mug. I still want that mug, man. The initials for the abbreviations for this entire conversation that they have. I love it. I know it's
to my girlfriend.
It's so stupid. It's such a stupid mug, but it's so good. I want it so bad.
Emily and I were watching this, and instead of watching the movie at that point, I turned to her. She's crocheting because she's making some scarves for birthday or Christmas gifts. And I'm just watching her, and she's crocheting, saying the whole entire scene.
She
so loves good. That scene. It's a great scene.
It's such a good scene.
Yep, it's wonderful.
And I put here, where was it? Well, I guess I didn't. So the conversation between the two of them, like, really starts to show you like how far gone, of course, Anakin is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like, this genuinely is Obi-Wan saying, this isn't something that we have to do. We've had a history, like this, the whole idea, like, the Sith are evil. Oh, well, from my eyes, the Jedi are evil, and all of this. And it's just like, dude, you've only been a Sith for like an hour, like if that.
Well, no,
Like
probably longer. It probably took a lot longer to kill all those younglings. So
probably,
they're
probably.
scrappy. They're running around. Got to force
But
choke them on the ground and stab them.
so now looking at a critical view of this movie, you're much older now since you've saw it for the first time. Do you think this fight was too long, too flashy, or any of the above?
So I actually I'm gonna put both fight scenes, the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and the fight with Yoda and Palpatine. Go put these together.
Okay, yeah.
When Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting in the room, wonderful fight scene, beautiful. It was masterfully done. And then they're jumping from that fight scene to Palpatine and Yoda, and it's just going back and forth. So and it's progressing. We don't see it. We don't see it progress the entire time. Like for example, we're at like our background. They're on the lava fighting, and then we're back to Yoda and the set and Palpatine. And instead of being in the middle like they were, now Palpatine's up on some of the Senate seats, tossing
Yeah.
them at Yoda. So this scene, the scene in the individual rooms was great. Once they get out, now don't get me wrong, having Palpatine throwing the Senate at Yoda was pretty cool. A little overextended, and every time
little on the
a little
nose.
bit. Well, also it Robot Chicken's first ever Star Wars special they did. Always remember this because it's Palpatine on the phone with somebody. It's like, yeah, I threw the whole Senate at him. I just threw it at him. It was wonderful. Like fucking Robot Chicken, I love it. But so that was cool and all, but yeah, that got kind of long, kind of on the nose. And I was happy that it ended when it ended because then, Yoda is able to get away. But for Anakin and Obi-Wan, they leave the room. Now they're on the little platform thing that then falls into the lake of lava, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna get you down there. No, I'm gonna get you up there. That was kind of like why. But then once they get onto that little platform that's floating around, it's kind of cool again because they're actually fighting, and Obi-Wan gets the high ground, and then that kind of ends it all. Maybe. So it was one of those fight scenes where starts out good, started to get long, ended cool, but I mean, it's just that middle part they need to take out.
Yeah, I will agree with you. I always thought it was really cool as a kid. Now I kind of laugh at
Yeah,
it when there's a moment where they both kind of like just go completely
dude, I
crazy
love
with their
that scene.
lightsabers and they clash, and then of course they use the force push and it like they cancel each other out. And like before they use the force push, just them going all crazy, like looking at it now, it does look silly. I think like
Silly cool.
technically what they're trying to do is to fake each other out is what they're basically trying to do.
But the problem
But they
is
know each other.
they've been Master and Apprentice for over 13 years. Like
Exactly. They know each other, which
they know their
makes this
moves.
fight so like it makes it so much like more fun to know that history is behind all of this. But I think it lost me when they at one point they grab the cable and they're swinging
The
and I'm
Tarzan
like
stuff.
I was like, no, like I don't remember this at all. Why are
See,
they
I
doing
do.
this?
Well, that's the
But
thing. Like, oh, you want to end this fight as
that's
he's
how
swinging in?
Obi-Wan.
Just yeah. But what I'm saying is, as they're swinging in, another quick way to end the fight: just chop the cable.
Chop the cable.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, he'll probably land on some platform. But you never know. It'll throw him off balance. He'll probably land
take the
in the lava
chance,
and die.
Exactly.
Right.
Take the chance. But of course, that's how Obi-Wan gets onto the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin then falls onto the larger platform that was kind of just falling down the waterfall of lava, finds the droid, jumps on him, they fight, and then that's when, of course, Obi-Wan gets the high ground. Now, just right before we end this, because this is the ending of the film, this is where Obi-Wan has his very heartbreaking monologue about,
Beautiful scene.
he loved him like a
He
brother
was his
and all
brother.
of this other stuff.
Yep.
And he says, "You were the chosen one. You were meant to defeat the Sith, not join them." Was Anakin ever told that he was the chosen one?
I think so. I think so. I think maybe because I'm pretty sure it's mentioned in the Clone Wars at some
Clone
point.
Wars?
I'm pretty sure.
Then they should have treated that more seriously.
Well, hold on. Wasn't in Phantom Menace when he's taking the test? Doesn't Qui-Gon say with him like right in front of him that he's the chosen one?
I believe he is the chosen one.
Yeah, and
But
then
I
basically
think
like, oh, you're referring to the prophecy.
I
Was he
don't
not in the
think
room?
I don't think he's in the room. I think at that point he went with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon was alone with them.
Okay.
I'll have to
It's
double
been a
check,
minute.
but
Again, I haven't seen these since Rise of Skywalker, so
yeah.
I
I
have to
need to
rewatch it
double
at some
check,
point.
but I'm pretty sure they leave the council room at that point, and only Qui-Gon Jinn is basically like trying to plead his case for Anakin to be a Jedi. Because I do think the tides would turn if like, hey, you can't be on the council because you're the chosen one. And the reason why that is because you have a much bigger role to play than politics,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what I am starting to learn as when you become a Jedi Master, not only do you have an opportunity to join the council, but you get to go off and do your own training. You get to do your own research. You get to do whatever. Like,
Yeah. Like the
and
world is opened up more to you.
exactly. And I think that if they treated him more like, hey, this prophet, basically, it's, hey, like, we want you to become master so that way you can help us save the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like,
But in a way, he was the chosen one. He did defeat the Sith,
he did.
sort
He
of,
did. Yeah.
at
Like,
in the Jedi.
in Return of the Jedi, he's the one that literally throws Palpatine and defeats him. That
Yeah.
is technically true. Like, and so I still agree with the fact that
Until
he is the
Palpatine
chosen
had
one.
until
Clones and
Palpatine had clones and one of those clones.
he cheated.
Anyway, what?
Exactly.
Anyway,
Until we find out he accidentally cloned Anakin. How crazy would that be fucking be? Anyway, that
so
is
there's
basically it.
Well, so at the end, obviously we got Padme giving birth to Luke and Leia.
Yes.
Dies on the table, and then they manipulate it so that she still looks pregnant at the funeral to trick Palpatine and Vader. Now, one of my biggest things is, so they're gonna hide these kids, right? They give one to the senator, which, okay, fine. They've been trying to have kids. They could adopt. Sure, now they've adopted Leia. Great. But then they take this other kid, give him the same last name as the chosen one, and put him on the same planet this chosen one was born on.
He'll never guess it.
Jedi are fucking stupid.
I never really thought about it that way.
Right?
Oh man.
It's the same.
It's the last place he would check.
What's that? I think I knew a Skywalker once. Last place you check. Dude, in the comics,
he hates sand.
Sure, he still goes back to Tatooine numerous times.
Yeah, he does. Numerous times. That's so good, though. That's hilarious.
This is one of my favorite movies. Nitpicking aside, this is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Will be to the end of days. Like, this is wonderful. I love it.
It is for sure in my top 5. I will say I think it's the best one out of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I would say the final fight between Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi versus the final fight of Anakin and Obi-Wan, that's a hard I'm not entirely sure because
That's fair.
one thing is everybody's like, well, why would Obi-Wan do that to Anakin? And it's just like, bro, because he knows that move. He did it to Maul. He's not going to let that happen.
But
it's true.
But that's the thing. Maul had the high ground.
Yeah, but Maul didn't know what to do with it. Obi-Wan did.
Okay.
And plus,
it's all good.
Argument saying, I don't think Maul was necessarily thinking that Obi-Wan would legitimately use. He didn't legitimately think Obi-Wan would use
Jump over
Qui-Gon's. Qui-Gon's lightsaber. It was
But why
probably
not?
out of sight, out of mind.
Okay.
Maul is not the smartest. We've learned.
Well,
that.
the early Maul was the smartest.
Maul was
he had a lot of years of going crazy before he actually came back and became.
And then, awesome. Of course, he learned how to he learned from his lesson for sure.
Yes, he did.
But with that, guys, that is going to be the end of the show. We thank you so much for lasting this long, Nathan. Thank you for being here and having a conversation with us.
Bye. Hi, Nathan.
But Joe, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at _actually_. You can find my shows, A Walk Through the Multiverse, every other Saturday here on the network. I'm on Twitter at WalkTheVerse. And you can find my other show, Comic Book Rundown, on Twitter at Comic Rundown and on Instagram at Comic Book Rundown.
Very, very nice. Of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. Linktree is usually in the bio, or of course in my bio over on Twitter, where you can find the links to all of the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion podcast, Weird Science, Marvel podcast, Ranger Alliance, and of course Star Wars Alliance right here. Now, guys, thank you so much. Katie will be back next week. We will be on our regular schedule. I am going to be gone for 2 weeks after the next week. And then, we're right there for Boba Fett. So who knows, man? I'm so excited that we're finally getting some Star Wars content over there on Disney Plus. Finally. And we will see you guys next week. See you later. May the Force be with you.